The consent calendar, Jonathan? Yes. Yes, how about item number 1 then? 736 Mission Park Drive. Is Mr. Jaretta here? And, oh, no.
Mr. Garrietta? We're ready to first start for C1. Yep.
So we had some comments on the landscaping, and I was looking at the details online and I couldn't find them. Where are the details for the project? Architectural details, the eave, rake, the window details. Where are they? What page would they be?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't look recently, but I think is where on the side,
Can you go through the pages, see if we can find them? Keep going.
the architect put
Keep
them
going, keep going.
before.
Keep going. Keep going.
Yeah, so I
Well,
think
those are
this
not
one,
the-
and there is the window there,
Where is the window?
up. You were asking about the windows,
Jonathan,
left side?
He wants up. Where is the window detail?
yeah. The previous page. The
Previous page.
Yeah, there is.
Well, that's a photo of the window. The installation, are you familiar with architectural details, what they look like?
I'm
Scale
not,
of 3-inch, really large, showing where the studs go, where the frame goes, how the flashing works, architectural details. You have an architect on record, right?
it is, but he decided to stop working on this project.
You need to hire
after,
somebody.
You know,
You need to hire somebody to prepare the architectural details, eaves, the roof details, window details. I also noticed some mistakes in these plans. On page 7, for instance. Are we on page 7? Well, look at the elevation 2. On the top, blow up that portion, blow that up. So, like for instance, blow it up a little bit larger, Jonathan, larger. Okay, there. Move it to that way. Oh gosh, okay.
oh, that's a remnant of the. If you remember before, there was like
I
dealing
understand.
with the plants going. on top and-
That's not the only one I found. You need to provide complete drawings that show exactly what you need, what you are going to build, including details, architectural details. Okay?
Okay.
So please come back with that and then we'll give you final. Okay?
Okay. So you
Also some comments on landscaping, please.
Can you pull up the landscape plans?
So can I come back with the structural drawings, or do
No,
I need to-
these are not structural details.
No, but I already started because in the previous meeting, so I've not been touching the architecture of the house for the past 2 months because in the previous meetings, there says the building has been approved. So I was just.
The design is approved. You need to show the architectural details, how you're going to develop, how you're going to build that design.
Well, I will be my own architect going
You
forward.
need-
so I'll
you
make
need-
the drawing. So
No, you need architectural details. If you don't know that, staff will help you to see what exactly you need to submit.
yeah.
Okay?
Fine, I'll talk with the staff and I'll make the modified drawing because I don't have an architect. So, and I don't plan to hire another one because at this point, the look of the house is done.
You need
I'll do it
you
myself.
need to show how you're going to, because if you go with these drawings to a contractor, who knows what you're getting out of that? You need to have architectural details clearly showing what you're going to build. It is not clear in the drawings. Okay?
I understand your point, and I will update the drawings myself with all the detail that is needed, including the the engineering portion of it. I'm an engineer, so I think I can do the drawings. And as far as I understand, the owner can legally make his own drawings in the United States.
We need to review the
If it's
landscaping.
not, let me know and then I'll,
No, you do not, I believe the county does not require a licensed architect to prepare the drawings, but the drawings need to come,
Yeah.
okay.
uh, So, I mean, regarding the landscaping, that was the reason why I was here. So I reviewed their landscaping. There was some concern about having plant under the oaks that, require sand and they wouldn't grow well there. And, throughout the whole sessions, you have seen that the neighbors wanted to preserve the look of the front of the house as is today, the garden. So what I decided, and also to try to help with the oak trees that I know they don't like water. So I simply remove all the irrigation in the front and remove the plants that needed the sun, and we'll just maintain the front, clean it up, and preserve it as much as possible, as is today, and has been for many years so far. So that should please the neighborhood, and also, it's probably the best for the oak for water preservations, and so that's the approach at this point.
Is that the presentation?
Huh?
Is that your presentation on the landscape part of it?
Yeah, that's all. That is at this point.
I just have a concern with the approach of responding to our comments by eliminating all the planting in the front. So I think with a house of its caliber, the amount of design work that's gone into the house, I feel like you should present an appropriate landscape for the front yard, and I don't see that that's presented here. So I think that the comments that were brought at the last review should carry forward. Except for at this point, instead of having inappropriate plants, you've just stripped it of any proposed new planting. I think it should be studied in a cohesive way of how the planting works in the front yard, and there needs to be appropriate planting for underneath the oak trees. And that was
So
previous comment.
preserving the current look of the front of the yard is not acceptable to
You have a photograph of the front yard that like demonstrates that it's appropriate
uh,
design of
yeah.
the house.
There are picture of the current front yard, and I
mean-
added the plants that are currently that I
I look
plan
at,
to
yeah,
clean.
so in your package here, you have existing photos. And to me, it just seems inappropriate for this neighborhood, for this type of a proposed house to rely on what is, just come to exist there. I think that you can have a nice landscape plan that works with the oak trees that doesn't have to be incredibly complicated. I'd recommend find a professional in town. It'd probably take them a couple hours to prepare you an appropriate plan that'll just breeze you through this process instead of having to come back. I think the comments that were made carry forward. That's,
Yeah.
Do the other landscape professionals here agree? Okay.
Okay, thank you.
So we'll continue this to the next meeting then, in 2 weeks. Will you have drawings in 2 weeks? Yes? Okay, but you have, okay, very good, thank you. Is that clear, Lance, is it clear, excuse me, the landscape comments, what exactly does he need to, no suggestions. The direction is that you need to provide what? A landscape plan? Is that what exactly is it? B, okay.
Okay, so at the previous meeting, it said species of proposed plants under oak trees require full sun and may not be successful. So you can strike that part of it, but you still need to study the planting palette required for underneath oak trees. And there needs to be a landscape design for the front of this house that allows it to fit into the neighborhood in the context of having a home underneath oak trees. And I just don't see that that's been studied, and
Okay.
I think the
Yeah.
comments carry forward.
Return with a complete landscape plan, right? That it? Yeah, okay, good. Let's move on to item number C2. On, where is it? Yeah.
We haven't had too much public comment on consent. so
Oh,
I asked
okay,
how
I'm
that goes.
sorry.
Do we just, because it's not a formal. Okay. So we have one item, one speaker first, item C1, Michael Guton.
C1, oh.
Yeah, I apologize. On the consent calendar, it's a little less formal, so I apologize that your comment didn't come in before the board's comments, but please.
Please go ahead and make your comment.
Okay, fine, no problem. Anyway, good morning, everybody. It's nice to see everybody again. We're getting close to the end of this process, and I'm happy to welcome the new neighbor to my next door. I'd like Jonathan to please pull up drawing A13 and then A20. And I have two concerns this morning that I was hoping that we could resolve. As you know, my concern has been the lack of privacy that I will get with this large house being only 7 feet away from my bedroom windows. If you take a look, let's pull up A20 first. And if you look at the upper story windows in the right-hand view there, you'll see there's 3 windows on the second story. And there's a note that says that the bottom 2 will be frosted on the left-hand window, but there's no note on the middle 2 windows. And in past hearings, we have agreed that those 3 panes, all those panes in the middle windows would be frosted because they look directly down into my bedroom windows. But I don't see a note on that drawing that indicates that those will be frosted. So I wanted to get that clarified. I believe that Mr. Pujo indicated that the upper panes of the window to the left could be clear so they'd have a view of the mountains. But I think this drawing indicates that they only intend to frost the middle and lower panes of the 2 middle windows to the right. And so I'd like to clarify that all those panes will be frosted just so that I'll have more privacy so that somebody can't look down into my bedroom windows in my yard. Also that I wouldn't see their lights go on and off in the bathroom. So that would be one request. The other thing I'd like you to take a look at is that semicircular window over the door on the right, which is directly across from my bedroom window. It won't be seen from the street. As I said, it's only 7 feet away from my bedroom window. It seems kind of unnecessary in the design. I know it kind of ties in with the other side of the house, but what it will do is let in light into my bedroom window and lack of privacy. And I don't see that it's really needed, so I'd like to see that omitted from the design. If you look at view 1.3, level 2, I'm almost done. You can see juxtaposition from my house, which is up in the top there. My 2 bedroom windows are in the very right-hand bottom corner. Thank you. There and also to the right and up to the right. At the end of the house, Jonathan, and right there, yeah. So in that bottom corner is where my bedroom windows are. So what I'm trying to do is mitigate any lack of privacy and light intrusion from the windows of this house, which are only 7 feet away. So I would ask the board to please consider stipulating that those 2 middle windows were to be frosted, and it's okay with me if they allow the back window to have the top being clear, because that's, you know, and they're entitled to a view of the mountains. I think that's fair. And one last thing before I quit here, and I do appreciate your consideration through this process. In the landscape design, if you look at this drawing where the 1 additional parking space is next to my house, Jonathan, if you can highlight that, you can see the cross-section area. It's right in front of the garage. Right up there, yeah, right there. So there's supposed to be a parking space there, but the landscaper has said that all the debris and waste liquids are to be dumped there during the construction. I have a tree that's about 4 feet away from there, and I'm concerned that dumping those liquids there will affect the health of my tree. Also, I have another tree that's about 8 feet away from there, and I'm afraid that dumping the liquids there will affect the root zone of my plants, and I don't think they have been considered. So I'd like to have that dumping area moved. Thank you for your time. Thanks.
Can you clarify what kind of dumping area you're
Probably
identifying?
the wash.
Yeah.
The washout area.
Washout.
Yeah, so all the chemicals and stuff are going to affect the health of my trees, and I'm
So-
concerned about that. I'd like to see that washout area
I don't
moved,
think that this board addresses concerns about concrete washouts. So, yeah. Go to the-
even though it's part of the arborist plan.
I mean, your concern is valid, so
Yeah.
share it with the planning department and they'll make sure that the concrete washout's located in an appropriate spot to not impact you.
Great. That's all I'm concerned about. Thank you very much.
Regarding these comments, for next time, if we can get clarification of the minutes of when we talked about the windows and on the second floor, there must be a record somewhere or a tape where we clarify what we said, okay? Because I don't remember those two windows. Can you go to the second floor, just plan, let's see. Yeah, I don't know if those are bedroom windows or bathroom windows or what. One bath, one bedroom. Mhm. Okay. All right, so let's see what those minutes say, okay? Thank you.
Yeah, come up to the
Yeah.
microphone.
Regarding the door with the arch, unless someone is between the house and the other property, there is an 8-foot fence. And, even if someone looks through the arch, it cannot possibly see anything in the neighborhood. And the same applies to the window upstairs. The purpose of having partial frosting is to reach above the eye line of people so they cannot see in the property,
Right.
neighboring properties. So I'm not so sure it should be a concern.
Thank you.
And maybe just to clarify on the landscape requirements for when you come back, some of the stuff that still carries over is that we need the size of the plants on your plan, please. And yeah, well, if that's what you're proposing, then it needs to be put on here, but I don't think that the board's going to support putting cuttings in the ground. You probably need to have, rooted plants that are in pots. You might recommend it.
That's not allowed. So I cannot build my own garden. Is that what we are saying? I cannot plant, from seeds or from, is illegal. Is that,
This is I think that to have the best success with your landscape, I'd recommend starting with rooted plants. That'd be my recommendation.
I
So
agree.
if you want to root plants in a pot and, but they need to, we don't want to have people that are, or projects with gardens that are relying on people, trying to.
I like
plant
garden.
from-
I personally like gardening and outdoors, and so I like to spend the time and grow the garden, that fits my aesthetics and my, pleasure in building the garden. That's why I bought a lot with the garden, and because I like the outdoor. That's the way the house has been designed, and I
Like you have a-
like to be able to.
You have a pomegranate tree on here, you're going to propose that you're going to root a pomegranate tree and grow it on your property. I think there needs to be more substantial plant material when you go to plant.
I
So-
can detail it more, but I just want to make sure I can pick the plants and grow them myself. Is that allowed or not? If you tell me it's not allowed, then I will not do it.
I don't think it's
I
appropriate
follow
for
whatever
this
is
type of a
allowed.
project. I think that you should bring plants that have rooted size that are ready to grow.
Is there a specific size I should start from instead of seeds? Is like a.
You have a whole
eight,
range
it
of
needs-
plants.
How big it needs to be?
We're not, especially consent item, we're not going to have too much back and forth, but just informational only, I guess. It really depends on the species of the plant that you choose. Some plants, even if you're planting them from cuttings, will require to be potted. They can't go straight in the ground. So we just
Of course, I
need you to take a more specific approach to each plant that you're using, whether you're going to do a container size planting or a cutting for it.
Okay,
see
I'll
what's.
make the list with it. I mean, I thought I outlined the size of the container. There is a table. I don't know if you received it. Because in the past, there's been a lot of miscommunication. I submitted to the planning, and they never reached you until very late, 3-4 meetings after. So I'm trying to figure out what information you received and which one you didn't. And if you want me in the future, I can submit it directly to you instead of the planner.
I think just
I'll be happy to do that.
just submit it with your full package with the other details that are requested as well. And you can ask for confirmation from your planner before it gets agendized to make sure that each of the sheets.
They are all loaded. I load them personally to the website that the account is set up. And I thought that would be sufficient. I also send it to the planner, but somehow they don't reach you. So I need to figure out why it's not getting to you in time. So
Good.
that's all.
Just check in.
So if you can follow up and let me know what.
Should be on your plant list. So I see your plans and you have a plant list and there's no sizes indicated on it. So at the next
I
iteration.
don't know which plan and which.
Just check in with Veronica King. And
Okay, I will.
thank you. All right, moving on to item C2.
Okay, so we're back to 5437 San Patricio Drive. Mr. Britton is here? Yes. And can we, okay. We have, basically we have no negative comments. So have you changed the plans? What have you done? Everything's
We were
accepted?
finished last 2 weeks ago, but
Yeah, it's, may return on final and consent. Can you show there's some details at the end perhaps, or I forgot?
the next sheet has the color scheme and the gazebo that we were
Okay,
trying to.
That's right. Yeah, and it was, okay, very good. It was just the entryway. Yeah, I look on them online. They look complete. They seemed complete last time. So I will move for approval. Okay, all right, thank you.
Thanks.
Item C3 is the, let's see, 2800 Spyglass Ridge Road. Robert Clammer. Are you Robert Clammer?
Yes.
Great, thank you. Yeah, yeah, look at the plans, they look very complete. There's some questions about the tile. I think the comments are incorrect, that it's not a suggestion to use a two-piece mission tile, it's a requirement, it's not an option. And I see the plans have all over the place, they show the one-piece mission tile. And that is not, that is not what the board wants,
We'd respectfully like to ask the board to consider the reasons that the owner would like to use the S tile over the two-piece mission tile. And first reason is that there's high winds up there. And he's found that if he drills a second hole in the S tile that he currently has, he owns. Maybe what we should do first is go to the aerial photograph, and I can show you what the situation is there. He owns the house. It says Passage Existing Residence on the right. That's an S-tile roof. He developed that whole block of homes there, 7 of them. And then he also owns the S-tile roof guest house that's in front of this proposed project. It's such that you can't see any of these homes from public roads. And even this parcel is hard to see from the other ones, but at least the 2 closest houses use the S-tile roof that he's drilled a second hole in the pan to secure these things because he gets like 65-mile-an-hour winds up there. And I think that just proximity to the neighborhood and it's in the context to the other homes that are in that vicinity that like reconsideration for the S-tile roof.
And when those houses built?
I'm going to have to guess, but probably in the 80s, 90s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not ready to approve it, a single-piece mission tile. We have to bring it back to the board. So maybe there's time today to review this, maybe at the end of the agenda. Okay? Or we can continue to our next meeting.
Really? There's some more photographs in here that show the existing home that the homeowner has, and from a distance, I mean, you're really not going to be able to tell the difference. They've got gutters on the end, so you can't see the S part of the tile. It's kind of in the
Yeah,
context of the neighborhood. He did agree to going with a single color, so we got rid of the blend. And one of the other items on the list was the dark sky. And
Mhm. All right, then. Yeah.
as we have,
Yeah, I really, I just think that this style is not a high quality material, just frankly. It's not used in Santa Barbara. It's the city of Santa Barbara, for instance, does not allow it.
not any longer, huh?
Yeah, so the county, doesn't have a specific recommendation, the specific guideline on that, but traditionally we don't approve that. So if you want to make your case, we can schedule this to the board to make that approval.
Okay.
Well,
I guess we will schedule it then.
Okay, all right,
All right.
thank you.
Thank you.
Item number 3 is excuse me, where are we? Number 4, the garage, the Black Den garage. Mr. Hirsch, hello,
Morning.
morning. I think the question was returned with landscaping and exterior lighting details, and that's the
Correct.
that's the only issue to review.
So if you could start at that first image of the existing, that would be just a little informative. Go up. Sorry, Jonathan. And one more. So the grasses, and I'm going to butcher the name of that species. If I can find it. It's the Muhlenbergia regiens. So that's planted sporadically, as you see, through the gravel up at the house, and that's what we're planning. Just a very minimal paths down below to retain this kind of sparse and natural landscaping. And the other points of the landscaping was the two mitigated oak trees down below. So if you go to the landscape plan, Jonathan. There you have it. So those grasses are kind of just anchoring some of the perimeter of the new structure. And then the light to address the dark sky light compliance. This esteemed board has approved the same fixture for other projects of mine, and it's a hooded wall sconce that throws a minimal amount of light.
Do you have it in the plans?
Jonathan just had up that cut sheet, that specification cut sheet. Yes.
Okay, I see. Okay.
If you see the profile that small profile to the right, and the larger image, you'll see that the actual lamp is hooded. And that's my story.
Yep, I find that the landscape's appropriate for the scope of what you're doing here. It's fit in with the style of the property and the existing structures. Support it. Cited your 2 oak trees. The grasses are there and work well with it, so.
Okay.
approve of it.
All right. Okay. Ready to go with that one. Okay. Very good.
Thank you.
And that completes the consent calendar.
Sorry, we'll begin with any public comment not pertaining to today's agenda. I don't have any slips.
We have received no requests to speak this morning.
Move on to an agenda status report.
Nothing for the agenda status report.
And then we'll review the minutes from April 5th. probably scroll down to item 3. No. Oh, that was dropped, item 4. 5. Yeah, 5 is the first one with any special comments. Anything on 5? Okay, go to 6. Number 7.
I believe in 7, it was not a suggestion to have a single, a color two-piece mission tile. I believe that's what we just discussed a few minutes ago, right? I say board requires or board supports, board supports a single color two-piece mission tile roof.
That still leaves room for interpretation.
Okay, so how would you like to,
Incorporate a
okay,
single color two-piece mission tile roof.
but not suggest, request
You're
incorporate.
just saying just incorporate.
Oh, okay. Board,
Or utilize.
oh, okay, they see to read. Utilize a single color two-piece mission tile roof. Okay. Okay. Going to 8.
Yeah.
Hold on, can, number 7D, I'm not sure I understand that. Board appreciates the response to landscape plan comments to introduce and mix additional species. Does that make sense? Anyone
Kind of.
else?
It was, I mean, the first time we saw it, I think there was very few species on the naturalized slope, and so they
Okay.
incorporated more. But
Oh, I see,
we
okay.
could reword it if it's hard to interpret. I think it's generally just a positive comment.
Okay, yeah, so maybe it's just board appreciates the response to landscape plan comments by introducing additional species into the plan. Yeah. Great. Number 8B should say reduce amount of paving and motor court to increase landscaping buffer between motor court and structures. Not between structures. We have Joe today, or?
Yes, Joe's here.
Okay. Move on to 9. Pretty straightforward. Number 10. Okay. 11. Okay. Anything else? Want to make a motion to approve?
I make a motion to approve the minutes as amended.
Second.
All those in favor?
And I'll recuse, I wasn't there, and I think number 8 was a project I had worked on.
All right, we'll move on to SBAR members' informational briefings. I'll start with, I have to leave at 11:45, but I think we'll get done. We only have,
Yeah, that's
not
not
what
what
I
I
have
have to leave to.
okay.
Let's get to it.
Anyone else? All right, and staff update?
Yes, good morning, Madam Chair. I don't have any updates, but just a quick reminder, if I could have everyone just speak directly into the mics whenever speaking, that definitely helps with being able to hear everyone speak.
Sounds good. All right, and then we'll move on to the consent agenda approvals.
Yes, item 1 was continued for applicant to provide complete details and more and landscape information, complete landscape information. There was item number 2 was approved as submitted. Item number 3 is to continue to the full board to review the proposal for a single S-style roof S-style clay roofing as opposed to a 2-piece mission tile requested by the board. That will continue at the next hearing. Item number 4, the Blackland garage that was approved as submitted. I make a motion to approve the consent calendar as described.
I will second.
Robert, just second that.
Your microphone is.
I'll second it.
Yeah, okay.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, moving on to standard agenda, item 1. The Vista Oceano LLC Single Family Dwelling and Garage. Request of Joe Shushtari, agent for Vista Oceano. This project is here for further conceptual review of a new residence of 11,539 square feet and a new garage of 1,770 square feet. It's a vacant parcel. It is going to require 1,493 cubic yards of cut and 115 cubic yards of fill. It's located at Vista Oceano Lane in the Toro Canyon area, and it's an 11.3 acre parcel. Would the applicant like me to read the comments, or would you like to go one by one?
Good morning. My name is Hadi Makratian. I'm the owner of the property, and this is Matt Kern, my wife and my son is on there. Raise your hand. Anyways, this is the first time I'm here after 3 years. Been a resident of Santa Barbara for 35 years or so. 3 years ago, I had an accident and became paralyzed from neck down. They told me I shouldn't walk, but I'm walking anyways. So I couldn't live in the house that I had the accident because of post-traumatic distress and all that stuff. So we decided to sell that house and build on our property that we had over 10 years or so. Initially, I wasn't here. Last meeting, I was told that we had a placeholder showing a 2-story building, and it exceeded the height limitation. And based on some suggestions from all of you, was that make it Santa Barbara looking and and compatible with the area. So we changed the design. It's mostly the Santa Barbara Spanish looking, and we wanted to show you this. We took out the second floor, and so if you can, this is just the some of the facades, but if you can move to the actual area, to the site plan that shows the aerial. I think is 4 or 5 sites, even more than that. Yeah, we start from the bottom and then we come up a little more than, yeah, couple more.
You have submitted last week.
It's in the
There you go,
PD,
there you go.
PDS.
That's it, yes.
Yeah. Okay, so here is the general area. It's off of Lambert Road. And the property that we have is 11 acres. It's all lemon orchard. On the bottom right, you see Pacifica Institute. If you go to the next that's 11. There are 11 lots, 12 lots actually, and 4 of them are gated. The other lots are individually gated. But this property sits on the hill. One more hill above us is the Gallup, the owner of, ex-owner of Gallup Orchids, which is our neighbor. And so from the top location on the, if you look at the site on the bottom corner, you see the red flowers up on top. That's where and the green area, that's where the approved lot is. So if you go to the next, one more side. Here is the, where all the 12 lots are. If you start from the bottom left, if I may, it's hard for me, but I'm going to come up there if you don't mind to show you something.
Yeah, the pointer doesn't work on
Honey, I'll get a pointer. Or you want to go up there?
Is it hard?
Yeah, that's good. Just right here. Okay, so this is the lot where we are. This house here, most of you probably know Mr. Nesbitt. He has a big 3 floors house. That's one of the lots. We're sitting over here, and years ago, we have a home building company also that we have built over 70,000, 80,000 homes all over the United States. Years ago, we built this project. I think it was 20, 25 years ago, right next door. It's not part of this subdivision. The other houses are all 3 or 4 stories, and they're very large. They're all 20,000, 10,000, 11,000 square feet. So I won't fall. You guys have good insurance here. But in any case, those are the, sorry, thank you. Those are the neighboring areas. They're all very large homes, and it's all built. Our lot is the only one that's not built. And I have talked to majority, we have talked to the majority of the people, except that little subdivision, the second one from the bottom, which is part of Nesbitt's. It's called Montecito Ranch. That is outside of our area. But otherwise, everybody else is Mr. Gallup, who lives to the left of us. The third picture from on the left. That picture is his garage. It's about 7,000 square feet or so. His house is the one above it. And he sits higher than us. other than him, nobody else looks at this property. And because we cut the height, as you were suggested here, I was in the hospital, so I wasn't here that last time. The 16 feet now from the ground to the top of the roof. You may go back to those first, is 16 feet. No, it should
Yeah, let's
be
go to
actual
the plan set, Jonathan.
higher, even one more
Yeah.
to the previous ones. There's
Would you
some
like to go to an
sections.
elevation?
If you will move to the sections. Oh, one more, right there. That maximum height that you see on top, no, yeah, you can also read on the right-hand side of the top is 16 feet. To the top of that, that sort of the hacienda top. So we cut the second floor. The square footage is within the limitations and the setbacks and all that stuff. It's the basic structure now is one floor, one side of, if you go to the floor plans, I can talk about the floor plans for a second.
We don't have to go into too much detail on the interior. We're mostly interested in the views to that, from that side. Just so you don't have to go through the
Okay,
interior too
that's
much.
it. Basically,
Is the job description has changed? Are you still proposing a 7,000 square foot house and a 800 square foot garage? Is that correct?
No, on the description, it says 11,000.
Oh, I'm sorry. Am I,
It's 11,539.
oh, I'm sorry. I
the
had
10,000.
the wrong.
Mhm.
Go to the site plan.
Okay, this, yeah, 11,000. So
So we'll officially move on to questions from the board.
I think it was it's on the square footage calculations on the first page.
Wait, no, go back.
One more done, right there.
One more. Yeah, maybe we can. Yeah, show a whole lot.
So it's a basic structure, one side of it where the two cars are. That's set up for me, for myself and people who take care of me. And then the other side is basically for our grandchildren that they live in Montana and when they come down. So we cut off. Initially, I had 2 stories because I wanted to live upstairs. And if our grandchildren come in to have downstairs, but they said height limitation. Okay, I don't have that much of a time to live anyways. So this is fine for us. That's it.
Thank you. Any questions from the board?
Yeah, one of the comments was regarding, I think, yeah, and include a hammerhead turnaround. Have you shown this to the fire department yet?
Not done the final buy. Get through conceptual.
But you think you have it?
Yeah.
Basically, okay.
That's okay.
And then you have no landscape plan yet, right?
No.
Any kind of materials called out, driveway, walkways, house is stucco, it looked like, stucco red tile?
It's the building is going to be Santa Barbara style stucco, white stucco and clay tiles. And everything mostly is going to be white, except for some of the doors are going to be wooden doors. There's a section that you can see on some of them. We had provided a 3D full walkthrough, but I guess they said that you cannot be looking at videos. So. Yeah, anyways, but very, very simple and will be compatible with the area and it's not intended to be very, like I said, my wife and I mean, we've been married for 50 some years, so this is the last house that we will have. And it's going to be the road, the driveway is going to be probably asphalt, simple asphalt.
Okay. And, you know,
it's-
You speak into the microphone.
Yeah, sorry. We're used to a little bit more information in
Sure.
terms of, where are the patios, where is the pedestrian circulation? So when you come back, we're going to want to see a little bit more development of the site and what's happening around the structure itself. So, and then if we can, well, it's not a question. So that's all my questions.
Yeah, this was basically to get a first read of what you would like, because that first time, like I said, it was a placeholder for height and 2-story, and it was taken the wrong way that it looked like offices. We never intended to be done. It was just here is the silhouette. So what we did, we took the second story, and this is the first story, but we'll come back with much more detail if it's whatever is necessary. In fact, for our construction, we need, like I said, we built 80,000 homes all over the United States, so we know with this you couldn't build it. I mean, you have to have full details of everything. So,
I understand.
And Matt has been our CFO of our company, and he's been with us for 30 years now. And he's been involved in all of the also Santa Barbara projects. We did, for some of you, you may hate me for saying it, but we did the Yananelli project right in the Funk Zone, right on the corner of 101, those townhomes. They still, I just drove by them, they look beautiful, and the landscaping looks beautiful. Even after, I think that was 22 years ago. So we'll come back to whatever you guys need.
Okay.
Thank you. So we can move on to any public comment. There's no letters in there. Is there anyone in the audience or online?
Public comment? Anybody has public?
Is there a roof plan of this? Is there a page with a roof plan?
We have a roof plan, yeah, there is a roof plan there. It's flat roof with some sort of missions.
They're flat roofs with
Yes,
the
it's all flat roof with those
parapet. Okay.
mission style.
Okay,
things.
thank you.
And top of that, to the ground level is 16 feet. So if there was any problems, that could be adjusted up or down.
Okay. All right, any other questions?
Yeah, I see one of the driveways is existing landscape maintenance road.
Yeah, my hearing
Driveway
is not that
exists-
good after my accident.
I'm sorry.
No,
Is the,
no apologies.
are the driveways already built, or are they the one that goes right along the property line there?
The driveway is existing. We just may surface it. That's
So both of the driveways shown exist already on the property?
Yes, but they're dirt.
They're dirt.
They're dirt.
Can you, would you go back to the aerial, the lot aerial? Those two drivers, both on both sides, straight up,
So this exists here.
about 20 feet wide.
And then there's this-
The other one, those have been existing forever.
The intent is to pave your existing roads.
So we're just gonna surface.
Pave this.
And the green line that you see over there, that green line is hedged, that's on our property. On the other side of the hedge, there's a horse trail that goes all the way to the ocean, to Kevin Costner's house, and goes all the way to, when I was healthy, I had gone up there. It goes like 2 hours you can go, 3 hours you can go. And that's a public horse trail. That's been there.
So the plan is that would be the entry drive along the, what is that, the western?
The
Boundary.
straight one will be the simplest entry drive. And then if somebody turned around, they could come back on the existing. But we use, right now, both of those are used for trucks picking up all the lemons, because it's, lemon orchard is going to stay the same way it is.
Do you consider using the nice winding path through the orchard as your main entry experience?
We could, but both of those, like I said, both of those are in the straight one is much easier for truck traffic, delivery, or even fire. Because this one will be very hard for. It won't be hard, but because big trucks go in there to pick up the lemons and come back.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, but it could.
Could you point out on that site? Could you point out on that site where your building is located? Just to clarify it?
Right here.
Yeah, okay.
You can put the site plan up, the other actual. Can you go up a little bit, one more to the,
Any other questions before we
or the other ones?
have public comment?
One more?
That's
All
it.
right.
No, I'm sorry, it's backwards. Gotta go up to the top, all the way up to the top. More. Yeah, a couple more.
There's no more.
Yeah, one more. Right there. No, yeah, right there. That's where the building is located.
Okay.
And the rest is just existing roads.
All right, we'll move on to any public comment. We don't have any slips, so anybody online?
And we have received no requests to speak.
Okay, then we'll move on to comments from the board. We'll start with Josh.
I've been spending my time looking at the elevations, so I'll start there. I think I just want to make it clear that right now I don't see, based on the minutes, or the last hearing minutes, there was discussion about a height restriction being exceeded. But I believe, based on what I'm seeing today, that's no longer the case. So I'm assuming that the project's not looking for any exceptions or review beyond the established or current design guidelines. So with that, I think architectural style, I actually don't have any concern about that. I think it's acceptable. Generally, looking at the location of the project and how it is sited, or how it's placed on the site seems appropriate. In terms of mass and bulk and scale, I'm not overly concerned about that at the moment. I'll let other members of the board talk about the scale and size of the project if they want, but I think where my concerns on the project are just trying to understand the detailing. Obviously, it's a large project with a very ambitious program. So the execution of the architectural design, landscape design needs to be further articulated so that we can ensure that the quality is there. I have no doubt that that is your intention. I just need to see it in the documentation. So that's, again, brings me back to the elevations. I'd like to see a proper floor plan come back with accurate, basic dimensions that show us the perimeter dimensions of the building. No need to detail any dimensioning on the interior. I think, again, I'm going to defer to the landscape architects on the site just to move us along today. So I'll focus on the elevations. The exterior elevations are fine for this meeting, but when this returns, I'd like to see a higher quality, architecturally correct exterior elevation. Need to indicate north, south, east, west elevations. Given the kind of design of the house with all the oblique angles, I think the draftsman or the architect or the home designer, whoever's doing the drawings, needs to be needs to put some effort towards helping us study each elevation. My concern is that aside from the main volume at the center view of the project along elevation view BB on page A3, the arcades and kind of wings that spread out from there are really hard to judge from these drawings. And I think there's several issues of proportioning and detail in the elevations that need further study that is really difficult to do from these drawings. It just, in general, the drawings don't reflect the size and scale of the project. They're anemic at best. and very, very crudely drawn. So I'd expect to see a much higher quality execution of the drawings and the elevations and in particular to really help the board understand, the execution of the project. So I'm looking forward to seeing more of that. I think one comment I have specifically on sheet A5, the bottom right, proposed right elevation. There's and I've seen this on other, I think this is on both sides of the house, but at the end of this arcade, you have this kind of ended, the way it's ended here, or the way this wall kind of encloses the arcade from the exterior. I feel like the execution of that is just a little out of sync with the project. It doesn't, I think there was a comment on the previous hearing about that, the house not reading as a residence and it was reading more as a commercial building. I'm not sure about, and I don't know if I could say that about this, but I do feel like this element of the project feels a bit harshly executed. It doesn't, I just don't, I don't understand how it conforms to the rest of the design. I think it should be restudied. It feels really blocked out and kind of clunky. And if I was just looking at this image right here, I think I was looking at a condo on a golf course somewhere in La Quinta, and I don't think that's what you're going for. Then I go to the image to the left, and I see something that I think feels like a Montecito estate. And the arcades, that spread off from either side of it seem interesting. So I think there needs to be study on that end piece there, and probably others. There's one other thing I wanted to point out. You're gonna have to zoom in on the top left image there pretty good, Jonathan. I just want to indicate something that kind of, I think, demonstrates my concern. So if you look to can you zoom in to that garage? To the left, please. So right here, you see the rendering doesn't, obviously, it's just meant to illustrate this, so I don't want to be too punitive about this, but that is a pretty good example of what we're looking for. There's a nice elevation there, and then there's this skinny tiled kind of representation of a roof. It's not well conceived at all. And there's some, if you look just to the right of that, the parapet and the kind of the top of the roof, that's kind of an impossible detailing situation. It's a waterproofing problem. There's not enough clear area between the top of the parapet and the top of the tile roof. So these things need to be further defined, and it just needs to go to that expert level of detail before it's going to be ready to be approved. I think that's my comments.
Alex.
Oh, and congratulations on your recovery.
Thank you.
We're happy to see you back.
It's great. I thank God every day because everybody, all the experts at the university, University of Santa Barbara Chancellor came in here too. Chancellor Yang, but everybody, all the experts, they told my wife and my son that don't expect him to walk, but look what I'm doing.
Yeah, here you are. We'll join the crowd and root for you as well.
Thank
you being here today.
I also think that this project has improved greatly with the reduction in height. Now, we're talking about a 11,600 square foot house, in the 1,700, what is it, 1,770 square. I mean, altogether is something like 14,000 square feet of development and 1,500 cubic yards of grading. So this is a major development. I'm a little bit concerned about the scale of it. Also, I share my concerns with my colleague about the look of the place. If you go back to the other elevations, Jonathan, go back to the renderings here, the other ones like that exposed backyard, proposed backyard elevation. This reminds me a little bit of the Fitz Parker Hotel at East Beach. It has that commercial development quality. It doesn't quite say home to most of us. It has the scale and the commercial detailing of the project. So I have hopes. I hope that you are able to develop this into a more refined project. It appears that you're going to have high quality materials and recessed windows and doors. So it seems to be going the right direction, but I think you're using the arches. I think a few arches at the arcades are fine. It's just that they don't work very well in the garage and elsewhere. So I think that needs to be looked at. The parapet details, the whole, this project needs a lot of help. Also, the landscaping, it doesn't look like a water conserving landscape for that location for our climate. So that will change. That will these visuals that we're looking at, they will not be they are really temporary. I mean, I guess they're placeholders. Anyway, I think this project needs a lot of help. Thank you.
Well, first of all, I'd like to compliment you on this design. It's innovative and really interesting. And I think as it will develop into a really nice project. I think that your backup space for your garage is insufficient. That you need more space there where the garage is so the car can back up and turn around. And so I think you need to look at that. And it would be nice to have a north arrow and on your elevation say north, south, east, west, because we're concerned about where the sun hits the building. And so instead of left and right, I think the convenient and the standard way would be appropriate. And as Josh pointed out, I think that if we look at the lower right elevation there, that could be studied. It seems that the rectangular ends there are kind of inconsistent with the rest of the thought. And, if we were to go to look at the elevation of the front, at the back here where you have this arch, I know you want to herald that, and I like the idea, but I think it's perhaps a little too monumental for a residential building. The other side at the entry has a roof, slope over it, which seems to be more consistent. I like the idea of that. It just seems like it's a bit, massive, for a residential building. And, on the entry elevation, Jonathan, could we go to the other, the main entrance, this one here on the left? It's very inviting, but the arches to the right on the building, I think that the glazing or the doors should be recessed to complement the rest of the arches, which are very deep, and then these doors come up flush to the front, but overall, I think this is an exciting project. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jonathan, can you go back to the rear view? Yeah. I don't believe I saw your first iteration, which was 2 stories. I'm very glad that you are working within the heights for this area. I know that you showed a lot of other very stately mansion-like properties around here, but it was a rural, it's an agricultural rural setting still. And I think it's really good to keep that in mind when you're designing. And I agree with a lot of what's been said here. I also feel that it still has the feeling of a hotel in the monumental size of the rear arch. So I would really encourage you to look at how to make that more in scale with a house. It doesn't feel like a house looking at that. And I agree with the, the detailing and how important that's going to be to execute this. I think the layout is very interesting. And the way the rooms flow and the mood that you're trying to create. But it's a very huge amount of square footage. And there are various elements that feel more like a hotel than a home. And if you can focus on that, toning it down within that context of the kind of images that you're using, I think it would be really successful. And also the landscape is really important, that it become more connected to the environment that it's in. These renderings don't feel like that. It feels more like a golf course. So, but thank you for working within the guidelines of a more low-slung property. And I don't know if we should be doing a site visit. I think that might be,
Comment on that, yeah.
not yet, but that, yeah, to get a real context of where it's sitting within its neighborhood. Yeah,
Right,
thank you.
Chris?
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I agree with much of what has been said thus far. I do look forward to a little more site program development. For instance, it seems that the entry experience into this site would be better served by using that winding road as sort of your main driveway for guests entering in. And then the road along, I guess it's the western border, could be service for trucks and whatever else. And still you can use that entry road for harvesting lemons and whatever else you have. So just a suggestion, but it seems like that would be a much nicer way to enter the property and arrive at the house. A couple of site program things that I'm trying to figure out. I'm looking at the floor plan. Want to go to that real quick? So the garage is only 2-car garage. Is that right? Yeah.
Correct.
And so from the garage, if you basically enter into the master bedroom from there, it looks like, right? Or into the storage room and then back out the sidewalk around. Or I guess you walk out and back around. It seems like an odd place for the garage. And I think John pointed out that you don't have the backup distance to be able to pull out of that garage and go back, which is part of that site programming. We definitely want to, the comment E from last time, include the hammerhead turnaround. We want to see that on the plan next time. Also, I didn't see a trash area, so we want to make sure we have accommodation for that. And also, please show adjacent existing structures on one of your plans, at least the site plan, because I know you have, I don't remember what is to the north. There's a property pretty close, so we want to see adjacent structures on your site plan. And then where is the 1,400 yards of grading? Is that to sort of flatten out the hilltop?
That was mostly for the road.
of the road.
The hilltop's flat. It's
Right.
very
I don't know
little.
if you were lowering.
No,
the- Okay, and so basically the idea behind the landscape is orchard up to the house,
correct.
right? Okay. So we still want to see what you're going to do immediately adjacent to the house. With that said, I think the only other thing I noticed was that you're admirably staying under the 16-foot height limit, but I don't know, it seems counterintuitive, but to me, it seems very squat in places. You do have the big corner element with the big archway, and it looks like you're trying to keep everything underneath that 16-foot limit. And you are allowed architectural projections beyond the 16-foot limit up to, what is it, 10%? No, or certain elements. So I guess what I'm getting at is it does seem very low. I don't know what your plate heights are, but it almost seems like you could raise the other areas a little bit so that arch doesn't feel so.
So
large.
you're allowed to have your ridge lines at 16 and then have chimneys or
So are you suggesting,
cupolas.
I didn't want to interrupt. I didn't know what the
Yeah.
procedure was, so I didn't say anything when you were making comments. So are you suggesting that the 16-foot could be, and then architectural projections could be above that? Is that
Yes.
what you're saying? Oh, I didn't know.
So your ridge line can go to 16 feet, and then your chimneys or other architectural
Okay.
projections can go above that. And there's a certain
Yeah,
calculation.
you can ask your planner for the specific, so you can design within the specific.
Leave this.
These are very helpful
400 square
comments
feet.
because, as I said, this is just a preliminary
Sure. Yeah.
thing that we
Understood.
came back for the first time. But let me make a comment about those two garages.
Mhm.
That's for be able to, for me to go right to the bedroom. I cannot walk.
Okay, sure.
It's about more of a handicap thing. And within our family, everybody is outside of the States. They hate driving. So they minimize. That's why we didn't put any. Initially, there was a big parking garage and
Mhm.
and even our neighbor, Mr. Gallup, I asked him because he has a 12 car garage and a car.
Story, yeah.
So I
You
asked
do have
him, I
plenty
said,
of
"Do you-"
guest parking. You have plenty of guest parking over there, so
Yeah,
I'm
I
not-
asked him, as Mr. Gallup, he's almost my age, you know, and he's a little bit older, but he said, I never drove my car. So it's like, that was the thing. So between Barbara and I, she may drive, but that's really our need.
Yeah.
As far as backing in and out, it's a way of, I mean, we could move that thing, but as I said, this was just a placeholder.
Mhm, sure.
All those details about this side not having arches or look like different. Again, it's not a final.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I
We
understand.
did this in a short period of time, and we wanted to proceed. Otherwise, we will come back with a lot of
Okay.
more details based on your comments and.
I'd say it's a
As
great.
far as square footage, this is really the minimum that I could have because I have a big family. When my family comes in, they have four grandchildren. We have, not they.
Sure.
4 grandchildren.
Yeah, no, that's
Yeah.
that's
And then some of the spaces are wide because of me and a couple of people walking with me. I know Chancellor, when I go to his meetings, and when 3 people come in and help me. So that's some of the stuff. Otherwise, between Barbara and I, we don't need a lot of space.
Yeah, well, I'd say it's a great start then.
And this is a big property. I mean, it's 13 acres.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's not a.
And unfortunately,
Compared to
you
our neighbor-
ended up sort of slammed into the corner, right? So you had to
Yeah.
keep
And
it.
then compared to our
right.
neighboring house, if you can pull back to all 12 lots that are built, they're above 15,000, 20,000. One of them is 37,000 square feet. You talk about hotel. The one behind us, that one on top left corner, 3 stories, got 3 levels of pools, is 32,000, 34,000 square feet. So it's not a little bit of those elevations are deceiving because of the way the computer shows it. It looks like a hotel.
Yeah, it's the angle, and there's
Okay.
very little in the way of hierarchy with the line weights and such. So everything appears to be the same important.
Was we just planned to put a we could eliminate all those arches and just
Yeah.
be a flat house. Other than that, what are you gonna do? You're gonna have to add some gingerbreads to make it,
Yeah. Sure. I
yeah.
don't think you're going to have trouble getting through this process. I just, it's a good first stab, and
yeah.
I think these are all good comments, but we're not coming down hard on you right
No,
now.
I
We
appreciate
make
it.
the comments just to give you some guidance as you come back. We're
Appreciate
No, I
Um,
appreciate it. I mean, but I just didn't want to interrupt you. So we don't intend to build hotels. We built so many hotels, I've quit. In fact, some of the really bad hotels, we fixed them up and then we sold them. The one in Goleta, what was the name of that hotel? What was it?
Oh, yeah.
I don't remember. Anyways, by Santa Barbara on the corner, there was an old hotel, and then we sold it to Kimpton, but we fixed it up. So we built the largest hotel on the west coast of the United States. It was 2,700 rooms, Anaheim Hilton. So it's not intended to be a hotel. It's really intended to be a house for us.
Got it. Okay. Well, those are all my comments. Thank you.
Robert?
Okay, thank you.
But you're a tough act to follow.
I apologize.
No, you're all good. Can you tell me the grading is all for the driveway? Is that what you said? So the grading is to cut the driveway in. So the next round, it would be great to have an understanding of the required retaining walls for the driveway. If it's on cut, I'm assuming on the other side of it, you're gonna have a retaining wall. Could we go to the site plan here, please?
We don't have.
And on that, along with the comment about the driveway, maybe go up one sheet to, so all the circulation that's proposed for vehicles here is really tight to the property lines. And from zooming in on your plans, I see the double lines there is indicated as a sidewalk that walks around the outside of the driveway. I'd encourage, as part of this design process, to understand the hierarchy between having the driveway circulation and pedestrian circulation on your property. You got a beautiful, huge property. Maybe I think you could separate the sidewalk from the road there. And those edges are going to be valuable to you to plant up and provide a buffer between your property line, your proposed fencing. Right now, it's really tight along the driveway edges there. So a comment would be to study any opportunities to provide additional space and planting at those edges along the driveway between the property line. And maybe your driveway that goes along the whole property line there doesn't need to be right along the edge. Maybe you could jog it out a little bit. I think that would improve on the experience of coming up and down that driveway. I think Chris's recommendation of taking that S curving existing landscape maintenance road you have identified there as your main driveway is a great recommendation and an opportunity to create some hierarchy between the two materials of using that other driveway as a more utilitarian type of a path. I'd really like to see the extent of what there needs to be a detailed landscape plan here. It's just not presented yet. And we need to understand where is the existing orchard and how does the landscape around your house interact with that. That's a very important part of like siting this home and onto the existing property. I think there's an opportunity to improve on the way that the vehicles interact with your home. Right now, it's like the parking's off in a corner. Isn't like a spot where you would pull up and get out of your car and greet your guests. So I would encourage, as part of the study of the landscape plan, to see like is there like a motor court or some feeling of how the vehicles interact with the house. Right now, I think has room to be improved upon. And I think piggybacking on Chris's comment about the garage is like, I was thinking, okay, if I parked in this garage and I got to take my groceries to the kitchen, I mean, you're looking at a big hike there. So maybe there needs to be some If it was my home, I'd want to have a little spot to pull up a little closer to where we need to act.
My wife is gonna do that.
Okay, well, you,
Please strike that from the record.
all right, fair enough. Now I understand. Um,
I can no longer carry anything.
and,
Yes.
I also think that, okay, you've got these nice 3D renderings. It would be really helpful for this board to understand how this home sits on top of that property. If you could juxtapose the 3D renderings onto the property and show the driveway and all that, I would say that that would be an awesome thing to bring forth and would help us really understand the project.
Thank
I look forward to seeing a landscape plan when you bring it. And it's a nice project.
Thank you. I just wanted to say that those roads are existing. We haven't widened them or shrunk them or anything. Those have been existing for, I think,
Understood.
25 years.
But you're proposing grading on it to, that was a.
Yeah, 1,400 cubic yards is 140 truckloads.
We have to look back to where they got 1,400 cubic.
Yeah,
yards.
that
There's
could
no,
be, that
it-
seems
it's-
inflated.
It doesn't feel right to us when we first got the deal. So,
Right.
and we asked and they said it's right where, see the gray line, right where it comes up. They were planning on doing something and it wasn't right.
Do you have a civil engineer on board and have they done plans based on this? Is that where you got that number?
Yeah, where we got.
Who's they?
So we had a consultant come out and kind of talk about how he was going to do that.
I see.
We don't, that's not in line with how we're going to do it.
Okay, but you will
Somehow
have,
that old number got kept along
Okay.
and along. So when we come back, you'll see real.
more, yeah.
actual
My
numbers.
concern is that you're proposing cut for this driveway and then you're gonna have to run like a 5-foot wall on
Right,
the
we're
driveway.
we're
right
not,
at the
there's no
property line.
retaining wall. Right now where it's built, there's no need for a retaining wall.
Okay.
It's on the pad that's been in existence forever. We're not moving any dirt really. We're just settling on an already existing flat pad. So, yeah.
I think some further detail, just helping the board understand, that's helpful.
You know, all the other neighboring lots, they basically don't have any separation between, sidewalk or pedestrian, or it's just roads going up, all 12 of them. They go all the way up to the hill. Even the big 70,000 square feet one is the same thing, so.
Okay.
We wanted to, one other comment, if I may, is that we wanted to sort of not make it, the driveways too much paving and all this stuff, to keep the rural sort of country, because one of our friends bought, I don't know, some of you may know, Nina bought the property right below us, good friend of ours. She has the horse facility right underneath, and she kept sort of the look, you can see one of them, there's horses and 5 or 6 barns and riding rings and all that stuff. Now, before my accident, I used to play polo, but now I can't even ride a horse. The whole idea was to keep it a rural looking. So not too much asphalt, not too much concrete and that kind of.
So
We support
depending
that.
on, yeah, we completely support that. Depending on the grades, once you go through fire, a lot will come out of that. And so
Right.
it'll be good to come back with us once you've cleared it with fire, just because then we will be looking at what materials they're going to hold you to. And
So one last question that I have, and that's regarding the arches on the flush wall that you mentioned, that the all of a sudden, the windows are round, but it's flush. Are you suggesting to cover those sort of, our idea was to get some light from one direction of the house, because the front, we put in all those arches and it won't get as much light, but the back, we wanted to get as much light into the kitchen. That's why we didn't put any covers. If you can, I don't know if I'm taking too much of your time.
we do have to wrap up pretty quickly, but do you understand which windows he was speaking?
Yes, would you go back to that one
Well, I
facade
was
that
suggesting-
showed the front of the house? I mean, entry of the house.
Yeah.
I just wanted to.
We can look at that detail when you guys come
He was
back.
just suggesting that you recess those a little bit.
No, not this one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right there.
Not-
So yeah, you were there. I think what he was talking about, Hadi, was these right here.
Right there, right there. The whole idea of those was that's where the kitchen and the laundry room and the work area is. So we didn't want to put any covers over them to get some light.
Saying that thickening the wall and
We're
recessing.
saying, set the window back a little.
Talking about a
Recess
1 foot
slightly.
setback.
Yeah, just the
Because
garage.
all the other arches are so deep.
We can flatten that wall. Yeah, we can flatten that wall and create then my square footage will be up.
Okay, so we'll wrap up. I only just have one final comment that I think the siting of this house is not going to be very visible from many of your adjacent neighbors, but I've noticed this neighborhood is visible from some of the public roads uphill from there. So since you have a 3D model created, as Robert mentioned, putting it on the site and then seeing how the actual roof will be visible from some of the public view sheds will just be important as you move along. Not expected at this stage, but when you come back.
Oh, one last quick thing, Val would support this. Be careful of the color, the bright white.
Yeah.
We're not big fans. We want it to sort of recede into the landscape.
All right. No,
That's it.
we will.
I'll just
Thank
leave
you
it
so
there.
much for your
Okay.
comments. I mean,
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we'll move on to item 2. The Tobes shade structure request of Paul Ashley, agent for Ann Smith Tobes, 2007 trust. It's here for conceptual review of a pool shade structure of 120 square feet. There's an existing single-family residence of a little over 4,600 square feet, an ADU, an attached 2-car garage. The project will require no cut or fill. The property is 3 acres and located at 660 Ladera Lane in the Toro Canyon Community Plan area. Is the applicant here online?
Yes, hello, this is Paul Ashley, the architect. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Thank you,
Great.
Paul.
Let's start with the plans, and you're open to the front page, which is the site plan. As you noted, there's an existing single-family residence, and we're in the process of adding an ADU over the attached garage. The shade structure is that dark rectangle right there, kind of to the left of the pool, existing pool. Very small footprint, only 100 square feet. And it kind of protrudes into the auto court there. But its intention is to provide, obviously, shade structure around the pool, but also to separate the pool from the auto court, provide some privacy and screening from the automobile area. If you want to scroll down then, here's our existing site with the existing pool. And that shaded area is the hardscape we're demolishing to install the shade structure. Scroll down. There's our footprint, very simple. There's double doors that are kind of like open gate type doors to the auto court on the left, and then 3 arches on the right. We've centered this on the pool because it's also centered on the terrace gardens to the right of the pool. Now here's our west elevation. On the top is my existing elevation, and on the bottom is my proposed elevation. I want to call your attention to the little photograph that's above my proposed elevation. That's a detail that was around the existing garage facade, and we're repeating those concrete trim details on the renovated building. And you can see that I've copied that sort of arch and pilaster and crown molding detail on the west facade of the shade structure. You will see the south facade of the building and the west facade of this shade structure from the auto court. So that's why they have a similar character. Scroll down, please. Here we are. This is the south view of the shade structure, the skinny end. It's just a window opening, but it's not really a window. It's just a wrought iron grill with a diamond pattern to it. Scroll down. Now we're on the pool side of the shade structure. And on this side, it's a slightly different elevation design. There are arches that are similar to the arches if you look all the way to the right. That is on the 2-story single-family residence. The master bedroom is upstairs, and below it is a covered open-air terrace. So you're seeing those 2 arches there, and you look into it's an outside dining area that's covered. So we took that design of the arches, and we used that on the east facade of the shade structure, is what you're seeing. Okay, scroll down. What else do I have here? Oh, just some building sections, and all that concrete trim on the building is precast concrete modules. This building is not historic or anything. It's from 1989. So we're going to be using the same sort of concrete trim details, the crown moldings, the door and window frames, that kind of stuff that we used on the main house. Not much else to say. If you want to look at the site photos, I'm not gonna spend too much more time. Let's go up to one of those PDFs.
Can we?
Okay, all right, so this is our current, okay, these photos are before the pool was built. And this is
Yes,
the
scroll through.
auto court side looking towards the shade structure. Now the pool has been built, it's in rough shape. And the shade structure is obviously just between where I'm standing and the pool. And this
Sounds
is the
good.
front of the pool, we'll see the shade structure beyond.
Okay, I think we have a pretty clear picture.
Yeah,
Thank you.
and that's fine. And so do you have any questions? Thank you for your time.
Thank you. We'll go to questions from the board.
No questions. If we can ask for public comment and
Yeah.
then just make our comments.
Yeah,
This
is
is
there-
very small and straightforward.
Yes.
We have nobody in the room and we have received no letters.
Oh,
okay.
that's good.
Yeah.
Just public comment.
You know, we're familiar with this project and we've seen you before and you've done a beautiful job. And this is a nice next step in your project. And I think it should be final on consent.
To
Oh.
prelim and final. on
Yeah,
consent,
prelim and final on consent.
Is there any other question or comments from the board?
This kind of project, I'm not sure I would really. need
Not even
To
sure.
us.
Board.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so,
Well,
all right. So you can come back for prelim and final on consent, and just work with your planner if there's any additional.
You guys are just cutting me loose. I don't have time to argue with anybody.
No, that you can't argue.
I'm missing out on all the fun. Come on.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, sorry.
That's okay. All right.
Happy to argue with you if you want that.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe on your off hours. All right, guys,
Yes.
we're all done
Way
then?
later.
Yes, all done. Thank you,
Great,
Paul.
thank you so
Thanks
much
for your
time.
presentation. We loved it.
Thank you very much.
All right, moving on to item 3, 210 Lindbergh Lane LLC, the request of Jennifer Siemens for 210 Lindbergh Lane LLC. Here for final approval of a 6,699 square foot single-family dwelling, an underground garage, a 20 by 55 foot pool, a hot tub, some water tanks, and more water tanks, and ag equipment storage. The parcel is vacant. There will be an ADU permitted separately. It's going to require 5,100 cubic yards of cut and 300 cubic yards of fill. The property is a 40-acre parcel located at 210 Lindbergh Lane. There are previous comments. They're brief enough that I think I'll just read them. It's a well-designed project. Structure is large, but potential impacts have been mitigated, and the board finds the project acceptable as proposed. Study ways to incorporate naturalistic landscaping throughout the project site, remove any trees or shrubs that are blocking elevations of buildings on the site plans. I think that might have meant elevations, but study water tank in northeast corner and demonstrate whether screening is necessary. And it's here for final approval. Is the applicant online?
Yes, this is Danny Longwell with Two Trees Architects. I'm here with Cameron Richards with Two Trees Architects. I think Scott Menzel is here, landscape architect, and I think we have Lydia from the civil engineer. Yes, she's here too. Jennifer as well. So we got a team here. Let me know. It's been a little while since we've been here. The project has remained the same in terms of the design and positioning and heights and form.
Okay.
So we've got quite a lot of sheets because we're here for final. So if
Yeah.
you let me know if you want me to run.
I would
the
say
call.
if you can just show us anything that's been detailed further and then anything that's changed. So it
Okay.
sounds like you'll probably have additional landscape
Yeah.
sheets.
Yeah, keep going. We'll stop at kind of like material boards and stuff. Yeah, these files take a little while. I think if you step back one, go back a tiny bit, site plan, one sheet back. Yeah. So this is kind of the footprint, the tanks there in the corner were one of the comments to screen. We've actually cut those in quite a bit. They're 8 feet high. They have a big footprint, but the retaining wall in the corner is over 6 feet. So they're sort of cut in pretty far against the driveway. So they're cut into the slope. It's a similar concept that we did with the garages and the ag storage, is we've really kind of just tucked them in. It's an expensive way to build, but I think it's just necessary to maintain kind of feeling of space and work with the landform. So, you know, it's a compromise in terms of grading, but I think the intent is to keep the natural slope of the hill and reduce the visibility of the structures. So that was a big reason for the time we spent some last time is just working through this water system with the water engineer and the fire department. You know, this is our water source for fire hydrants, domestic irrigation, and everything on site. So go to the next piece. Site section, so you can kind of see that concept of building into the topography. Keep going, we get some elevations, renderings. Going. Floor plans. Roof plan. We did story polls, you guys, a few of you went to that, so just had some references to those. Roof deck. Some elevation views, we have both. I know, I think there was a comment to sort of remove all the visual I guess details with the landscaping from it. So we like to look at these because we feel like it's more realistic to what's on site, but we did include the just black and white flattened elevations as well. Materialities, I don't, if you want to look at those, but those haven't changed either.
Jonathan, just so we see what the full set looks like. Yeah. Oh,
So this is just kind of getting into the more detailed parts of the plans, detailed sections. And we'll get to the A8 sheets have, I think we have 10 sheets or so of details, exterior details. So, yeah. So just kind of the material palette is, you know, pretty neutral, warm, beige, earth tone colors, plaster stone, but all in sort of a compatible tone, not a lot of contrasts, kind of just warm, rich colors that we feel are compatible with, you know, the hillsides and surroundings as much as possible.
Do you have any exterior lighting just to flash on the screen?
Yeah, those are sheets. I guess in this set, are those a separate one, Cameron? Muted.
You can keep
Yeah, those are going to be after the electrical plans. Let me try to find it on my end.
I think if you go to, it's coming up soon, maybe the next PDF or the one after probably.
Mm-hmm.
That's E4.01.
Yeah, we're getting close. This is electrical, but we did a separate exterior lighting plan. It should be the next sheet, I think.
There we go. Here, yeah.
There we go. So these they look like those are light bulbs, but these companies actually make the dark sky compliant with the bulb up in the hood. It just maintains the character of these traditional style fixtures, but the bulb is not is not active. It's not wired. So
okay. Do you want to jump to the landscape plans? since that was one of the comments.
Sure,
I'm not sure we saw
yes.
them last time.
Yeah, so they're probably the last two PDFs there. This is civil grading. If there's any questions on that, we can go back to that. Yeah, okay, Scott, take it up.
Yeah, hi, I'm Scott Menzel, the landscape architect. If you jump to page 9 of my PDF, that's the planting plan.
While you're headed there, Scott, do you know why, what accounts for most of the cut? Because it is a significant amount of cut. Is it mostly the driveway or the?
You know, either Danny or the civil could probably best answer that.
Yeah, I could speak to that too. So I think this concept of reducing the massing, so the garage is cut down. The tanks are cut down into the hill. It's a pretty large footprint and requirement for those tanks. And then the pool, and there's adjacent to the pool, that deck is actually cut in, and that's kind of an ag storage building. So I think it's a compromise between, I think the intent is the same, to maintain the natural topography and reduce the visibility of the structure. But that the compromise comes with additional grading. We were able to reduce some aspects of the grading and increase the fill from that cut. In some areas, we actually raised up the entire pad of the building and lowered the plate heights and ceiling heights a bit, so that because it's a pretty large flat pad, that 6 inches of raising up the pad helped reduce the cut substantially. But then as we developed the tanks with the fire department, that sort of pad grew a bit. And in terms of visibility, I mean, we could raise those up, but and reduce the grading, but we feel that compromise is worth the additional cut to minimize the visibility of those tanks from everywhere.
All right, and then Scott, we can look at your.
Yeah, so back when we were here for preliminary, this board essentially reviewed this exact same plan. Since then, I've made 1 or 2 additions. There was a concern about the visibility of the water tank pad from the road just to the north. So we studied that a little bit. There's really dense oak tree canopy to the north of our pad right now, and that canopy goes to the ground. And I think that will do an exceptional job of screening our tanks from the road, but we've added a couple more oak trees to sort of augment what's there. And if necessary, we could do additional screening. We just felt like these oak trees that we're proposing weren't even necessary, but we thought we'd just plant them there just to help maybe fill any potential gaps that may exist.
Okay.
There's also a landscape lighting plan in this set towards the end, starting on page 13. The board reviewed this plan last time. I did not make changes to it, but we essentially have a 2-watt path light and then a few 4-watt step lights. Cut sheets are on the next page. And we passed right by them, but I have an irrigation plan, hydrozone plan with water calcs, and I'd be happy to answer any questions about anything else pertaining to the landscape.
Sounds good. I think if that concludes the majority of the presentation, I think we'll move on to questions because the plan set seems pretty complete. Any other questions? Okay, we'll move on to public comment. There's no one in the audience. Anyone?
And we have received no letters for this project.
And no one online in the queue.
Nobody online.
Move on to close public comment and move on to comments from the board. Val, do you want to start?
I think it's well executed and carefully designed, both architecturally and landscape. And I think it's ready for final.
I agree. Dito.
All right, well then, do you guys have any additional comments or we can?
Yeah, your plan set's about as clear and legible and well-designed as I've seen through here. So
Thank you.
So any?
Good job, Cameron.
anyone want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion for final
Okay, second,
as submitted.
I'll second it.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Have a good Friday.
You too.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right, we'll move on to item 4, the Kester Garage, request of Gabriel Zamora, agent for Paul Kester. It's here for conceptual review of a new 873 square foot detached garage, 148 square foot office. There's an existing single family residence of 4,000 square feet and a storage shed. Cut and fill is TBD. It's a 3-acre parcel at 1691 Shepherd Mesa Lane in the Carpinteria area. Is the applicant online?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. So go ahead and give us it sounds like a pretty simple project, so a brief presentation. And
Yes, so there are 2 structures shown on this plan set. One is the accessory dwelling unit, and then it has a common wall with a detached garage that is serving the residents. This is on, I want to say, page 6 of the set that you have in front of you.
okay.
Yeah, and I guess if you want it right there, yep. So the ADU is the portion facing to the left, looking down the hill. The garage is kind of right there in the center next to the house. The existing house is on the bottom right of the drawing sheet there. And then that existing storage shed is in the top left. If you scroll back up maybe a couple of sheets, yes, to this shows, so there's this is a cut through the site. The garage is the large open structure in kind of the center of that cut, or the center of that section, and the ADU projects out from there. And so the idea is, there is a little bit of shaping that's going to be involved to kind of nestle the garage into the property. That's intended with just a low gravity wall that is also shown back on page 6. But here you've got the 2 views of the property as well. That detail is at the top right of this page, but basically the idea is to tuck the project into the hill. The garage is on the right-hand side of this sheet. It's a 1-story, 2-car garage. It does have a separate office accessory structure attached to it, or space, sorry. And then the elevations, the materials are meant to be pretty simple. It's a composite shingle roof and stucco exterior with wood doors and windows.
Does that conclude your presentation?
Yes, thank you.
All right, we'll move on to questions from the board.
I have some questions. Can we go back up to the site plan?
Yes.
It's not real clear, keep going. It's not real clear to me where the car comes in and how it accesses the garage. There doesn't seem to be information there. And have you met with the fire department?
Yes, we have received comment from the fire department. So the access to the garage is off of Shepherd Mesa Lane. It's probably easiest to see if you follow out from the garage. There's a driveway that comes straight out, runs to the north, and then turns out onto Shepherd Mesa Lane.
Do you have a site plan that shows how your cars access? And I don't see it. So but Shepherd Mesa Lane is to the south. So then do you wind around in front to the north, or are you coming along the east? Which
So Shepherd Mesa Lane, it continues around. It's the road that's in the, that wraps around to the north of the garage, and there's a driveway that turns out.
So it's a complete loop?
It terminates far to the east. It doesn't let out. But
It's called driveway on here, but does he mean?
Yeah, I think you need to show us a little more clearly how the access works and where the nearest neighbor structures are. And also, I didn't see anything that showed what the main house looks like. And this is another house sharing the property with that house. So we need more information. We're looking at the garage, but the garage is in context with this other structure. And so we need more information in terms of your site plan, your access, your parking, and what the other house looks like, the main house. That turned into kind of a comment, but yeah, the question was, can you give us more information about the access?
Any other questions? No? All right, move on to public comment. There's no one in the audience. Is there anyone online?
Nobody online, and we have received no letters.
We'll move on to comments from the board. Start with Val. If you want to formalize your comment.
Yeah, I guess, this is another one of those tricky situations because the bulk of the building is an ADU, which we don't look at. But it is a bunch of grading on a hillside in a rural area, and there should be some landscaping, and there should be a clearer way of depicting the cars, the parking, the landscape around this building, the grading. The structure itself seems, straightforward and simple, but it's the site and landscape and impact on the hillside that matters.
We'll just come down the line. John, do you have any additional comments?
I agree with Valerie's comments. I think we need photos of the existing building and colors that you're proposing for this addition.
No comments.
Chris?
No comment.
Robert, I think you were here for the presentation. Do you have any additional?
If there's any proposed landscaping, it'd be nice to see it. I didn't see anything in the plans.
Good. I agree with that. I don't have any additional comments. So this item is here for conceptual review. Do we feel like it could come back for prelim with the additional information? Okay, so yeah. So with the comments noted, your planner can agendize you for prelim the next time you come back.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great. Moving on to item 5, the Garcia new residence. Do you need to step down from this? Does AB design this? At the request of AB Design Studio. Yeah. Board member Bloomer out. Architect for John Garcia here for further conceptual review. There is one more item after this, but
more
oh, but he's not a reviewer for that because it's here for consent.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Okay, so for further conceptual review of a two-story residence, approximately 4,870 square feet, an attached three-car garage, and a detached guest house of approximately 600 square feet. The following, there's an existing two-story residence of 2,622 square feet, an attached garage. It does not say whether that's proposed to be demoed or not, so we'll have to, that'll be a question. The property is a 1 acre parcel shown at 347 Ridgecrest Drive in the Summerland area. To clarify that description with the planner, is the existing single family proposed to remain and new two-story residence added?
We don't have an applicant online right now, and we have nobody in the audience.
Okay, so maybe were they out there? Maybe they don't know that it's up. And the planner's not online either. Let's look at the plans just really quick to see if that seems, isn't that an odd description to have two single family, neither of them categorized as a. Can we move to the site plan really quick? Might be able to answer. Keep going. We can ask. All right. I already teed you guys up, so you can just state your name and begin your presentation. One question I had was whether the description.
Testing, good.
Just before you get going, the description says that there's an existing single family and a new proposed, but it doesn't say whether the existing is to be demoed. Is it to remain?
No, we're removing the house and building a new structure.
Okay, so we just have to clarify that with the planner, Jonathan. Okay.
That wasn't, okay. Thought that was in the minutes or the description.
It doesn't say to be demolished. That's when, unless I missed it.
Got it. Okay. Clay Arell, architect, AB Design Studio. Good morning, everybody. How are you? We're here following up on, let's see, are we?
I can read the previous comments if you'd like me to. You do, okay.
We're here for a follow-up concept review. Oh, that's really well. The last time the project was here was on September 9th, 2022, which is quite some time ago. Obviously, there's been quite a delay in the process here. Most of that has been with the county staff and planners, just being able to get answers and get things moving. So could we go to the first page? Thank you. I am not clear if everybody's seen this project before or not. But the project is off of Ortega Ridge Road, off of a side road called Ridgecrest. You can see that in the aerial photos here. We'll keep going. Here's photographs of the existing site. The site plan on the right, or aerial on the lower right-hand side of the sheet shows where the photos are taken from. There's an existing two-story residence with an attached garage that we will be removing. You can see item number or image number 3. That's looking down the driveway to the existing residence. That's probably one of the only vantage points where you can see the actual structure, existing structure and proposed structure for that matter. You can't see the structure from down below off Sheffield. We've studied that. We can't see the structure from Ridgecrest. So it's really just along Ridgecrest is that one photo is the only
place that we actually see the site based on existing vegetation. And that's the existing house that you see there. Items in image 6, you can see or image 7 might actually be better. We talked about this last time, but there's kind of a drainage swale that's been created over the years, kind of along the right side of the photograph that moves along, and we'll show that to you in the survey or the site plan. We can zoom out. We'll go to the next sheet, please. Is there a pointer or no?
It doesn't work on the screen, so you
Work
have
on the
to go
screen.
beyond display in the middle and point.
I think I asked that last time I was here. Okay.
Yeah.
Testing. Okay. This is fun. Okay. So the existing driveway entrance, he is here, and then there's a drainage course that runs through the property like this, and it ends up coming down off the site. So there's kind of this natural swale that's in the site, and we identified that at the last hearing as kind of contributing to the height concerns that we had on the original project, or on the proposed project, I should say. But all this will get removed and reconstituted. That gets removed as well. Just wanted to point that out. Next slide, please. We can keep going. This is all grading. Are we presenting grading today? Okay. We'll keep going until we get to the architectural site plan. So the project, I'll go through the minutes real quick. I'll just use these as with my glasses. The last comments were to provide site sections to the site in each direction. So these are indicated here on the site plan. We have one in each direction that'll be on another sheet. I'll come back to that. Study ways to reduce the length of the residence to reduce its massing and visibility. As I mentioned, the visibility is pretty low. It's really only from the driveway entrance that I showed you on that first image. The length of the residence hasn't changed that much. We've pushed and pulled the building and added a few things here and there, but in large part, the building is similar to what you saw before. It's long in the sense that it has every room sort of facing the view, which is left on the page, which is southwesterly view, which is unobstructed to the Channel Islands and you can see downtown Santa Barbara. So that's kind of contributing to the length, if you will, of the building. And you can see we have a small guest house on the lower part of the page and some additional parking areas there. And we've added a pickleball court that you can see that's been added. The deck in this location, which is another comment, this deck used to extend out to here. It's been considerably shortened, but we still want to have expansive exterior decks. Next comment was to restudy the finished floor of the residence as it relates to the driveway circulation. To be honest, we were a little bit confused how that would relate to the driveway circulation, but we have pushed and pulled the building, moved it around a little bit on the site, moved it up and down a little bit. It's basically at the same finished floor of the existing residence. So we feel that it's at the right kind of height location for both views and getting into the site and getting into the garage and getting around the site, because we now have a pull-through driveway that goes in the existing and then out at the top right. The next comment was to consider pushing the pool further from the house. We had a lot of discussions with the owner about this one, and the proximity of the pool was actually very important to the owner. So we've kept it in the location that it was before, and feel that that's a decent location for the pool. as it relates to the landscaping and the rest of the site. Item E, show adjacent development on the site plan. We have another exhibit, I think, in the box. If we could pull that out, it's not, yeah, there it is. So we zoomed out. It was really hard to fit all this on the site plan, so we did an aerial and imposed the site plan on it, so you can see the context of the property or the proposed structure within the neighborhood. If you zoom out a little bit, you can kind of see how it relates to other structures. So the house to the left, to the west, that was approved and constructed several years ago. We don't have any real knowledge of that property and who owns it or any of that, but our property kind of looks southwesterly, not necessarily over it, but just it doesn't look onto it. And similarly, the property to the east is existing structure, and we don't feel we're impeding any of their views from their property based on the orientation of it. And we're well below the properties on the other side of Ridgecrest. Those are actually elevated off the street, so they have a higher elevation. So most of those homes behind us are looking over us. So I hope that addresses that comment. Item F, further study the connection between indoor and outdoor spaces. We go back to the floor plan. That's the other document, yeah. So there's a site plan. If we go down next sheet, there's our site sections. So this shows the profile of the site. The Ridgecrest is on the lower section. Ridgecrest is on the right-hand side. So you can see the elevation difference from the road down to the structure. And on the site section number 2, running across the building, you can see the retaining wall on the westerly side. We can keep going. Next slide. Most of the floor plans, their comment was to study the connection between indoor and outdoor spaces, but most of the floor plans are directly related to the outside, or the spaces anyway. So this is the lower floor. If we go to the next page, we'll have the upper floor. We've added a deck off of the living area. So that deck got expanded. Right in that zone, yeah. And then the master suite has a deck. So there's a couple spaces like the master closet that don't have an indoor-outdoor connection. Board is concerned with the size and lack of planting adjacent to the terrace on the main floor, adjacent to the garage. So that was the area where we removed some of that deck and added more planting. We do have landscape architect who will join us virtually and present that. Updated elevations are here. The south, that looks more like the east elevation, but number 2 is the garage elevation. Access from the site is to the right. Elevation number 1 is labeled as north, probably is the more westerly version or northwesterly version. That's the master suite on the upper floor, and then the relation to the deck below. And then we keep going. So the elevation number 1 is sort of the street elevation or the entry elevation from Ridgecrest. The guest house is over to the left, and the garage, you can't see the doors from the street, which we like. If you recall, the project does have a height restriction of 25 feet. That's in the Summerlin community plan. County's ordinance is 35 feet, but the Summerlin's community plan is 25 feet. A lot of what we've been doing since the last hearing is working with staff on resolving that issue. Staff has been supportive of our height projecting above the 25-foot height limit, which you can see in black. You'll really only see this on the western or the southerly elevation. That height limit isn't impacted if you look at the elevation number 1 on this sheet or the prior elevations, if you go back one sheet, I'll show you that. I forgot to mention that, but we're under the height limit. So depending on what side of the building you're on, you're going to be impacted potentially by that existing swale that creates that difference in the height limit. So if you go to the next sheet on that top elevation, number 2, that's where we get impacted, that one corner on the second floor. There's a provision in the ordinance that allows roof projections to go through the height limit as long as they're under 10% or under 400 square feet, which we comply with. And so the planner has felt comfortable allowing that to continue under that, under that section. So it's coming back to the board for discussion point, but as you can see, we're under the height limit in every situation except for that little corner of the second floor. Grading plan is item I, grading plan is required. So we do have grading plans in the project. Well, we have them in the set. They've done the grading plans and provided information there. So last item on the minutes from the last hearing said site visit with story poles will likely be required as the design progresses. So we'll just leave that to the board's discretion. We want to have landscape present now. Okay, so we'll have our landscape architect present the landscaping as presented in the set virtually. I think we need to go to the end. No. Well, then we can
If
go
you
to
want to
the.
put the plans on there's 3 landscape architects, we can probably interpret it.
We'll go to the landscape plans. Haven't studied them in great, can you go back up? This is I forgot to mention this. This is the floor plan of the area of the roof that is projecting through the 25-foot limit. And that's just a diagram that shows that it's a very small portion of the roof that's projecting. And obviously we're impacted by the grading change there. Landscape plans. Loading. There it goes. I don't know that I could present these to you, but
Zoom in on.
well, there's some green stuff over
Perfect
some green
pronunciation.
stuff over there and some trees. Green and blue and
What's the botanical
Bright
name
green.
on that one?
What shade of? I will add one thing. This is Eric Bear with AB Design, that I believe this proposed landscape plan shows just the proposed planting. But it's important to note that there's a lot of existing perimeter hedges and trees, as you saw in the context photos, and all that's intended to remain. So all that perimeter screening will remain, and this is just showing some.
So the way I'll just as I can see it from here. It looks like the 2 dark green trees are olives, and then the smaller trees they're proposing are strawberry trees. The terraces they're covering in carapia with a few ollies, and then in like some flax. All right, does that conclude your presentation? We can go to questions.
yes, thank you.
Any questions from the board?
Just have one question, Mr. Orell, how much grading is there? You mentioned that there are quantities. I don't see it in the job description. I mean, in the project description.
Can we go to the title, the first sheet? And I think we have our grading calcs on there.
Okay. zoom in.
The planner memo says 585 cubic yards of cut and 875 fill. And then,
There was further clarification.
yeah, there's a stockpile on site.
Yeah, so this shows 678 cubic yards of fill, 585 cubic yards of cut. So there's actually a slight amount of import that's needed for the project. There currently exists a stockpile permit, which I believe was mentioned.
I see it in the planner memo.
Yeah. What
Okay,
does that say?
good enough,
Oh,
thanks.
1,495 cubic yards of.
I had a quick question. Is the property to, I guess it would be the south, is it lower? The one with the tennis court and all that stuff, is it quite a bit lower? Do you look over it or not really past it or? is that-
It primarily looks over it. You can kind of see the roof from that 400-foot level. And that was part of the objectives with the owner, was to try to get the floor level as high as we could at the first floor and the pool deck to maximize that you can see out over that house to the south towards the ocean. Being mindful of the height limit. So there's sort of a goal to get that up out of the ground as high as we can while being mindful of the height limit. So again, keeping the house at the pad of the existing residence seemed to be a good balance.
I have a couple of quick questions. It seems like there's a lot of new impervious areas. What's the general approach to the stormwater for this project? Do you have tanks, or how are you? I guess that's a civil question, but there was the one exhibit on
Yeah,
sheet.
I think there is a stormwater sheet in the civil package, which we've, worked through at a conceptual
Sheet
level.
7. I was just that, yeah, this exhibit kind of struck me as a lot of the site being impervious. I was just kind of curious what the approach was going to be civil wise, but we can always show us that next
I
time.
don't know if we've worked through it in details. I know there's some drainage swales that are proposed. If we go back to the civil grading and drainage plan above, there is that area that's kind of hatched just south of the pool. I believe was an area that was intended to be a drainage
rain
collection
garden
area of sorts.
Okay.
A rain garden, and then also up in the top right corner, you can see a similar hatch as another area where a lot of the hardscape of the driveway is intended to flow to, and along the driveway.
Okay,
In
great.
the bottom right, so.
Oh, definitely tier 3. Yeah. Okay. And then the railings, maybe go to one of the elevations. Are they all glass
Yes.
throughout the project, basically?
Yes.
Okay. Keep going down more. Okay. All right. I think that was all my questions.
I have a question more probably for the planner. Have you guys already discussed with the planner whether the pickleball court can go in the setback? Is it because it won't require any retaining, or?
Hasn't come up as an issue.
Okay. Tatiana, are you on? Just so we can get clarification. She's not. Okay. Well, we'll ask the question next time. Okay.
My recollection is it can project into the rear setback a certain amount, but I'm doing
Yeah.
that from memory, not from looking at the
I
code.
can't say I remember the exact code language either, and I think it is a certain percentage, and so we might want to get some clarification. I think it also has to do whether it's being graded with any retaining, so just as you guys progress, take a look at that.
One question, can you move up a little bit? The north, is the north elevation? Let's see. Yeah, that one there. That dotted, that's where you drive. This is the north. It's not the driveway, right? I mean, the driveway is on the
More like
east.
northwest.
Is that?
It's more like the northwest elevation,
Okay.
because it's kind of at an angle, but are you talking about coming in off the street?
Yeah, can you see it off the street or no? That's the north. It's the north. I see. It's against. Okay, got it. Okay.
All right, and there was a planner memo with this that discusses the exceeding the height limit. It says that it's within the 400 square feet that's allowable if the board makes the finding. I was looking if she mentioned anything about the court, but she doesn't. So yes, unless I'm looking at the wrong one. Yes. Yep. It's here. If you want to go, but if you want to flash it on the screen from Tatiana. I'll read it. Project overall height was reduced about 1.5 feet. However, a small 378 square foot portion of the flat roof extends just over the 25-foot height limit required for Summerlin sites. The applicant is requesting relief from the height limit to allow just the 378 square feet to be about 2 feet over the height limit and requires approval from our board. So we have to state whether the BAR supports the request to exceed the height limit based on the LUDC section, which we can read if we make that finding to avoid reading it twice. And that is it. So we can move on to, if there's no more questions, we can move on to public comment. There were two public, oh, sorry, one more question.
Was there any proposed fencing or driveway gates or anything like that for this project, or is it just existing fencing that's around the? I didn't see anything.
At the moment, we're just showing existing fencing. There's a CMU and plaster wall at the southern side of the property. And there's existing fencing with vegetation that we're just intending to leave at the moment. And we're not intending to put any vehicular gates at the street.
All right, public comment. There are 2 letters in the folder. Is there anyone online or in the audience?
Nobody online or in the audience.
So let's just flash those letters on the screen. There was one from the Summerlin Association that was generally positive comments. They would like to work directly with the applicant to discuss colors and things like that.
We have I downloaded all these files yesterday and there was no planner memo. There was no letters. Isn't there a cutoff like a Wednesday?
There is a Wednesday cutoff for getting materials in
From the applicant.
from the applicant. Mhm.
So I think because this was. And then there's a comment letter from Tom Evans, which is very brief. Says concern is too much upper floor massing, story poles required. It's the most concise public comment letter I've seen.
Ever.
Yeah. All right. So if there's no more, we'll close public comment and move on to comments from the board. Alex, do you want to start this time?
I would like to see the story poles. I don't have any special concerns. It's kind of bulky, but it's well designed. Yeah, I'd like to see the story poles and before we approve it the next time.
John?
I mean, I think it's a well-designed project. I've noticed the steps approaching from the street. Can we go to that perspective? Or floor plan or one of those? Well, it doesn't show the steps. Yeah, there's no landing at the bottom of the stairs, or at least there's none indicated. And on the perspective, it doesn't show one either. I think you probably want to give that some thought.
It's just flat. Those are pavers.
Well, it just, looking at the perspective, the steps go all the way down to the front door.
Should we go to the perspective?
Looks like the bottom step is the landing.
Yeah.
Team.
Can you go to the rendering there?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
So is your question whether that last step is above the finished floor or if it's flush with it?
Well, it looks like, it looks like there's no space there anyway.
It's minor.
Look at it.
Work that out.
Yeah, I'm fine with the architecture. Be interested to hear what the landscape architects think of the landscape. And I think story poles are a good idea because, you know, it is over twice as big as what's there now, and it's a pretty dense neighborhood. So I think we should see sits on its site. But architecture,
I have a question. Are you showing a white roof or is it just the rendering? Is there, what color will the roof be?
Well, we haven't gotten there yet, but it'll probably be a light color.
Light color, but white roof? No? Okay, 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 all right.
Okay, Chris?
Thank you. I think the structure itself is beautiful. I think it's a really nice project. The landscape plan, and maybe it's just because none of the existing stuff is shown on it, but even the internal portion seems rather anemic. And going back to that exhibit showing all the impervious, it'd be nice to insert some planters into those decks somehow, or maybe potted plants would be enough. But so we definitely want to show existing planting on the landscape plan, and I would say increase planting biomass throughout, and specifically on the west elevation, if you could go to quick sheet number 15. I guess I can't point, I usually do, but that where the garage is on the right, that's the garage, isn't it? Or the ADU, whatever that.
House, yeah.
Yeah, that's a big blank wall, the site wall below, which should be planted out to help hide that as well. And it's sort of exacerbated by the fact that it comes up beyond the grade, and that's your sort of railing there. And there are a lot of railings throughout, so I don't think a railing is a good call there unless you switch over to, some kind of cable rail or something. But yeah, some planting to help mitigate the size of that wall would be helpful. And I think that's about it, really. I just think the landscape needs a lot more development and a lot more planting to help mitigate the size and the mass of the structure itself.
Robert, any additional comments?
Yeah, could you pull up the landscape plan, please? So yeah, I'll reiterate, your guys' architecture is very nice, and I'm glad you kept the pool in this spot, because people who push a pool way away from their house, I think it's frequently doesn't get used in that kind of setup. If a lot of what's identified on the edges here is existing landscape to remain, but then there's identification that grading needs to happen. I think there's a bioswale that's going along that property line. So I think the landscape architect should coordinate with your engineer, and if there's going to be bioswales, they should coordinate that you guys can get meaningful planting in along the property lines along with the bioswale, because bioswale is sited to go through an area where it's like you're relying on like existing vegetation to be protected. And then I agree with Chris. I think there's just further development to this plan that could happen. I mean, you identifying kind of this simplistic landscape, which I think is suitable to this type of a architecture, but there needs to be some effort to kind of blend into the edges of how this property fits within the context of the neighborhood and the properties around. It looks like there's like a horse area that's sheet lower left here, kind of close to where this sport court has been sited. So I would encourage the landscape architect to try to do anything they can to get some meaningful planting in around that sport court between what looks like an equestrian property. I mean, that corner is really tight right there. I think it's going to be challenging to get planting in there. Um, and then also the plant along the street there. The existing planting's gonna remain and suitable for the property. Can we just identify what it is? That would be helpful, or if it needs to be embellished at all. I mean, you have this beautiful home. I think you'd probably want to plant the entries into your property. So I'd encourage a landscape architect to study that, the interface between the road and the driveways. And the backside of the guest house. Too. Probably gonna have to tear up all through that.
Can you go
My guest
back?
house, I'd probably want a hedge or something behind it. So I think there's further things to study with the landscape.
Can you go back to the aerial site plan that had the house on the satellite view?
The other exhibit. There you go.
That one. Just had it. Yeah, this one. Yeah, where you see the neighborhood and what's right close to the property lines and, yeah. So the neighbor to the west, that's all paving right there?
Yes.
And there's existing hedging?
Yeah, there's a large, I think we're kind of covering up part of it with our site plan, but there's a large row of hedges in between the two properties.
Like they were saying, integrating the existing screening and the new landscape.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to beat a dead horse, but I'm just looking at where he or she is showing existing landscape to remain, and then looking at the site context photos and the aerial that's on the survey, and there doesn't seem to be much in the way of existing planting. Yeah, I think just study and show what's existing and identify the material, and so we can get a better idea of how you're going to integrate into the existing landscape. And also had a real quick question, all the zigzagging retaining walls, what's the material on that in color? Yeah, those walls right there that we just saw. All those zigzag walls.
Is it labeled on there?
You can, I mean, it's right there too. Yeah. Right. Yeah, right there. Those walls in the foreground. I'm just curious what the material and color is.
Yeah, we haven't figured that out entirely yet. And
Conceptually, I think the idea is they're the same material as that larger wall you were mentioning south of the guest house.
Got it.
Go
Okay.
back to the elevation there, which is a darker plaster.
Okay. Great. Thanks.
I agree with the previous comments. I'll just note one spot, and generally that I think you just need a little bit more developed landscape plan, but the paving that's along the house, between the house and the guest house, if we can go to the site plan, might just want to give yourself some room for a foundation planting. And maybe it's because of the backup space, but call out 3. If you zoom in on the guest house, Jonathan. And then so where the spot elevation 400 is, in that location, that concrete just runs into the side of the architecture there. And so it might be an opportunity to soften that space from several views. Other than that, I agree with the previous comments. This is here for further conceptual. So we feel like it can come back for a prelim full board. Story poles at this, okay. All right, so story poles and agendas for prelim at that. Oh, was I misunderstanding that? Is that end of the,
It's the garage, isn't it? Where the 400.
where the 400 is that the entrance to the garage?
Right
Oh.
above that label, yes.
Okay, I'm sorry. So I retract my comment. I did not understand that.
But I think
that
the
was the
comment-
entrance.
I think the comment's valid. Like I don't know if you're showing paving all the way up to the guest house, but that's an opportunity to soften. Yeah.
And we have one more question.
Yeah, okay, I wanted to ask on the floor plan, you've indicated a pool in blue. And in front of the house, there's is that a water feature?
The water feature in the front, yes.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Okay, so return prelim with story poles. Anything else?
I was gonna suggest take it for what it's worth. You might potentially be able to pull that forecourt a little bit closer to the house by reconfiguring some of those walls that are just kind of doing you nothing between the forecourt and the pool area. Might be able to compress it and give you a little more space along the edge of the property line. It's a plant. Right now, you got all those walls there that are just kind of, maybe that sport court could come up onto the level of one of those walls and give you a little more space around the edge of the property.
Okay. All right. Any last questions? From the applicant? No. Okay. All right. We'll move on to item 6. And I won't have enough time to be involved. So Alex is going to chair the next item. Thank you.
Okay, so we're looking at 4578 Camino Molinero. Here, and I see a live applicant here.
I'm Dave Burke. I'm the architect.
Morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Time no see.
And we've seen this before twice. And would you like me to read the comments?
Sure, that's fine.
Okay. Ah, okay, great. Okay. So
I don't know. I think we're
yeah, may it help with the landscaping, perhaps.
Yeah, if you could sing us a tune, Robert. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
So Jennifer Siemens, agent for the owner. And as you said, we've been here before for conceptual review. And just to refresh your memory, this is a 0.45 acre parcel on Camino Molinero off of Cathedral Oaks. And the history on this project is it received a couple land use permits and then they started construction during COVID. There was some miscommunication in the field. The owner was getting inspections and thought he was moving along swimmingly. And then when it came to get his final sign off for the land use permit, the permit compliance planner said, no, you've gone too far outside the scope of the land use permit. You need to come in for a new land use permit to address some retaining walls, landscaping, architectural details, a few things like that. So we did that. And the only comment that the board had in regard to architectural details was changing the chimney caps. And then the rest of the comments were about landscaping and hardscaping. So that's what we're here to address today, your comments from the previous meeting. We're here for preliminary and final.
So the process has been completed, right? It's been built already, correct?
Yes, there are as-built improvements that we're proposing here. And we do have the architect online, David Burke.
Very good.
Yes, I see myself on the screen, but I don't see anybody else.
We can hear you.
That's good.
Okay, so should we go through the drawings, perhaps? Yeah, okay. Yeah, keep going.
Yeah.
Well,
Keep
go
going.
to sheet AB 6.0. Keep going. Keep going. One more. Okay, right there. First comment has to do, you see in the middle of the page there is the entry with the smooth plaster and the sort of the OG trim around the side. The comments back originally were that this is an improvement to what was there originally, as you can see above. And so we left that alone and decided that that's good the way it is. And then next item B, where it says replace the chimney caps on the same sheet, you can see up in the upper left corner, item number 1. We've made note that these French style chimney caps are to be removed, and the original sort of planter type chimney chimney, caps are supposed to be installed. So that was on the original approval, for this design, and the owner had changed them to these French style chimney caps, but we've noted on here that they are to be replaced with these other chimney caps. Item C has to do with the flower pots on the garage, and frankly, I'm not really sure what they're talking about, because the only flower pots are those geraniums hanging from the eaves. So I'm not really sure what it is that we're supposed to do about that. Frankly.
We couldn't really get a read on what that comment meant. So, I mean, there's a metal pot in front of the garage, and then the owner had put some hanging baskets. So it was one of the two.
Is there a photograph of that or what?
Right there in the upper left, you can see the hanging baskets, and then in that photo where there's an arrow pointing to,
Okay.
there's that green metal pot.
Okay, let's go item by item then. Are there any issues with that pot? No, okay. Okay, keep going. Now, this was an interesting one. This site appears overdeveloped. It's already built. What are you going to do about that?
So this is the beauty of landscaping. So if you look at these pictures right here, before the landscaping went in, you can see that it's, you read a lot more architecture. There's a lot more paving that can be seen. And so I think there's a couple ways that I've proposed to deal with it. But David Burke, what is the one sheet number that has we have some current pictures of with trees in and stuff? Was that 2.5 or which one was that?
Let's see. That's your sheet. Well, the photos go up a little bit from where you are right there.
You had some photos of the neighborhood and that had some pictures.
Yeah, sorry, go the other way. Go the other way.
Thank you.
A little bit farther.
Here you go. That's a good one right there.
Right there, right.
So
that's-
some of the landscaping has been installed, and you can see the beauty of like the effectiveness of some adding some trees and some understory. And then the other issue that was big was that front wall by the on-street parking. And so that is on sheet AB 2.5. I've proposed a solution on that is currently underway by the owner. So that's what you see. Scroll down, please, the other way. That's what you see now. And then there's another sheet that shows a sketch. What sheet is that? So it's AB 2.5. Maybe that's further up.
Yeah. Go down farther. I think it shows better on your landscaping plans.
Yeah, there you go, right there. Okay. So that sketch that I did right there is what's being proposed. So one of the comments was adding more permeable paving. We're pulling out some of the paving and adding more landscaping. And then on that on-street parking area, basically to reduce that retaining wall and the starkness of it, we're proposing to add and the width, we're increasing the width of that planter. We're banking dirt against the wall so that, kind of reduces the height of it. And then we're adding landscaping. So that sketch kind of shows what the intent is there. And so you see the existing and and that crude sketch, what is being proposed.
Where are the dimensions? Or where is it shown exactly as working drawings to approve? Is that the plan? Where are the dimensions of where you're going to put that additional landscaping? I see the sketch.
Yeah, it's on the plan. If you that same sheet, actually look to the on the plan view.
So you're removing that lower wall?
No, I'm banking dirt against it right there. So you can see the existing condition is there's a very thin planter. There's the backflow is exposed, and so you can see the existing line of what constitutes that current on-street parking condition. And so we've narrowed all that paving. Can you see the kind of double line towards the wall where the backflow is? Rob, you can go up and point too if you want. You've got the mic in your hand. That helps. Sure.
Is it this little sliver along the driveway that's being converted to the landscape area? Is that correct?
So this is the existing paved area, and so we're pulling this edge down, putting a curbing down here, and we're banking the dirt. So as it slopes this way, there's going to be more dirt banked against it, and that gives us more room to kind of landscape it and make that wall go away.
Then to the left there, in where the driveway is, that's driveway is being eliminated.
Yeah, thanks for bringing that up. So the current driveway goes all the way to here. And so I'm adding this planter, and then there's actually, can we scroll down on this drawing, please? The other way. Adding this planter up here. So when you come down the street this way, you see all this paving. And so all the planters that are added are to basically soften all that hardscape that you see from the street coming both ways.
Very good. Next one. So that takes care of F as well, right?
Yeah, no, that basically covers D, E, and F. And then the last one, item G is, I think that's back to, that's one of your sheets, Dave.
Yeah, that's AB 10.2. So go up, keep going up a little bit more, right there. I went around the neighborhood and basically photographed the front street view of every property up and down the street. And, seems to me that the new design, now, of course, this design doesn't have as the planting that Rob is proposing to cover the walls, but seems to fit in pretty well.
You can see the top picture at the top center. And again, there's some new olive trees up there, and there's some other understory plantings already that's been pretty effective, I believe. So.
But in that photograph, the plants that are there are going to be removed. The ones that this photo does not reflect your change.
So this photo reflects some of the work that's been done, and there's additional work being done on that lower wall is what's being proposed. So it'll be considerably softened.
Right.
Plus those pavers are coming out.
What was
the
that?
The pavers in the low portion of that photo are coming out as well.
Yeah, we're replacing the paving in the on-street parking area to permeable paving.
Right. I'm just trying to understand this photo that we're looking at has plants along the base of the second wall.
Oh, okay.
It's all coming out and it's going to be banked up.
Exactly.
Look like that, right?
Right. It's going to look like that sketch that I referenced.
So that's an existing condition.
So that was planted, and then in this process, we saw you folks and you had concerns about that. So since then, this is how the banking of the dirt and additional landscaping, how we propose to mitigate it.
Right. And what plants are you using there, and how big will they get in your proposed?
You have to.
Not those plants.
No. Well, they're part of we'll reuse those. That's Lamandra. That's a grass, but that's kind of the front layer of it. There's some taller plants that it's layered up as part of, in addition to banking the dirt up. So that wall will be half the size and appearance. It'll be chewed up by landscaping and dirt. That front wall.
Can you make it disappear?
Well, I think once the landscaping grows in, which won't take that long, it'll pretty much do that. Yeah, absolutely.
Plants you're planting are going to cover.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Anything else? Are you good?
No, that covers all your comments, and that's our response.
Very good. Anybody online? No. Any other further questions from the board? Any comments from the board?
Quick question. The area that is atop the second wall, between that and the
house is called out as possible biofiltration. When does that get determined?
That's actually already been in. That was put in the very initial, that was the one thing he did follow the plan from the very first
So
approval.
that whole area is depressed and
There's a little bit of that, but there's actually, he has a retention device that's buried kind of over to the right-hand side.
I was just curious about how that works with the olives because they don't like to be inundated.
Yeah, no, it's water's going into a tank
See,
and which is underground on the right-hand side, so.
okay, thanks. That's it. Are we comments also? Okay, seems to me that the problem has been addressed and that the new reduction in paving and increase in planting will help to alleviate the issue. So I would support an approval, preliminary and final as submitted.
Any other comments?
Yeah, I'll say I agree with Chris. I think that the major improvement was cutting some of the paving there out at the entry and providing planting there.
Is that the second to the motion?
Yeah, I'll second it. And eliminating all that paving right along the street. It's excessive. It looks good.
So is that for preliminary and final? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries.
Thank you very much.
With
Thank
that,
you.
we will adjourn, right? Okay. Oh, the consent items coming back right here. The material board was missing. Okay, that's, okay, so it's, so what happened? Do they go with a two-piece mission tile or not? Or what are they?
Yes,
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, okay.
Bob Clammer here again. I
Okay.
have had a chance to speak with the owner since this morning, and he said he is okay with the two-piece mission tile. So we'd like to get that back to you so we can.
Very good. Thank you. And that would be like a single color roof, like the courthouse or the mission or anything like that, correct?
Correct. It's a
Okay,
boron
great.
roof tile, Mission Tuscany.
Great. Thank you for doing that.
Thank you.
Therefore, we'll make a motion to approve this last item in the consent calendar. I will move.
I'll second it.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you. That concludes the meeting of
Thank you, sir. We'll adjourn at 11:15. Okay.